The Converse weapon, that's the shoe. Let's Magic do what he was born to do.
For the kind of moves that never fail, the weapon's of choice of Kevin McHale.
You already know what they did for me.
What?
I walked away with the MVP.
Yeah. Oh, let me get out of here, so.
What is good, everybody? Welcome to the channel. My name is Kane. Please make sure you subscribe and you hit that bell so you always know when I drop a video. So today I got a Courtship or Rivals part 3. This is the last and final part. It's been pretty dope reacting to this so far, man. Like Bird and Magic, you know, the NBA owes a lot to them for sure. But without further ado, man, let's get to it.
The league was rejoicing too. Game 7 of the '84 series was one of CBS's highest-rated telecasts of the year, and the highest-rated game the NBA had ever produced.
All of a sudden, whether it was at CBS or Madison Avenue, the sports writers around the country became a phenomenon. What is happening here? The absolute foundation in this resurgence was the Celtics and the Lakers, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson.
But Magic was in no mood to bask in the accomplishment.
I took a media beating. Tragic Magic. This is why we say
the media is terrible,
better.
man.
It's probably the first time ever in my life I was depressed, and I didn't want people to see me. It was something I never dealt with in my life.
That particular series, that championship series, redefined his whole career because he never stopped working after that.
Right.
Magic was on a mission to prove to himself and the world that with the ball in his hands, he was still the one in control. And after his Lakers ran through the '85 season, he quickly got what he wanted. Another shot at Bird and the Celtics.
Yo, he was so smooth.
They won the East, we won the West. So it's like everybody just get ready, sit back, and let's enjoy it.
That laugh is
smile
crazy.
belied the intensity of the clash that awaited.
If I had a glass of water and any of those guys had been on fire, I would drink the water and watch them.
Wow.
They called us, chokers and sissies. We didn't like that, and they thought less of us. I knew they did.
In '85, we played them 4 times in exhibition season for some reason. I don't know why they scheduled that.
Yeah, they know what they was doing.
It was an all-out brawl.
They call this one of the greatest rivalries in all of sport, the Celtics and the Lakers. And if that is true, it is the most one-sided rivalry in all of sports. 8 times these two have met for the NBA championship, and 8 times the Celtics have won.
At guard, in his 6th year from Michigan State, at number 32, Magic Johnson.
But in the '85 finals, Magic changed the script. Over 6 grueling games, he masterfully controlled the pace with all-around brilliance.
He has a triple-double again.
Behind their point guard, the Lakers finally knocked out the Celtics,
That pass is
winning the clinching
crazy.
game in the Boston Garden.
Damn, Magic.
LA comes to Boston and wins the world title.
Redemption for one Magic Johnson. It's a long year last year to wait for this moment right now.
Magic had evened the score with Bird on the NBA floor, but the significance of their rivalry and their relationship was still just taking hold.
You crazy. I said, you're crazy. I'm not shooting no commercial with Larry. So I said, okay,
Oh, I heard about this.
we're gonna shoot it in LA?
I would never went to LA to film it.
Well, where are we gonna shoot it?
Even after Converse had convinced Magic and Bird to film a sneaker ad together in the summer of '85, a question remained. How would the two hated rivals on the court?
They didn't hate each other. Knock it
I
off.
don't know how he's gonna react. I don't know how I'm gonna react. We didn't even shake hands, so how are we gonna do a commercial together?
The ad was to be filmed at the home Bird had built for his mom. It featured a full-length basketball court, the day's first location.
So they say, okay, you're playing one-on-one, and I'm looking at Larry, and he's looking at me like, is this real? Are we playing? Because, this is Magic and Bird.
I could just hear Larry, starting in on, well, you bring it to the basket, and I'm going to send it 30 rows up.
So the guy was like, no, not like that. A fun game. We were both like, oh, okay. Like,
Right.
you can see
It's
this
a relief.
relief coming over
Right.
both our faces.
I respect it. I respect it.
The airwaves. For others, the perception changed.
I saw those limousines going through the cornfields, and I said, no. They didn't sell themselves out.
I heard Converse made a pair of Bird shoes for last year's MVP. Yep. But they made a pair of Magic shoes for this year's MVP. Okay, Magic.
Yo, these commercials, man.
Well, this is really a business thing.
The Bird shoe, the Magic shoe.
And maybe that's
The
where the
Bird
business thing
shoe.
started to get bigger and began to trump who they both really were.
It polarized the whole idea of lunch bucket versus Hollywood, white versus black. Just cemented all the differences between them.
Kids weren't wearing black gym shoes because they didn't want to be associated with the Larry Bird camp. You wore your white Converse.
The basketball rivals had morphed into cultural warriors, and race, more than ever, had become an unavoidable part of the conversation.
Yo!
But nothing about Bird and Magic had ever been as simple as black and white.
One of the big reasons this rivalry became so emblematic of so many things is because it was an easy dichotomy for people to understand.
Has the N-word ever been used by a white person to describe Irvin? I doubt it.
But as Magic enjoyed his image as a crossover star, it was Bird, the one-time great white hope, who would further emerge as the polarizing racial figure, due in part to that era's increasingly conservative political climate.
The rolling back institutionally of the achievements of the civil rights movement were going on apace from about 1975 on. But the triumph of the movement that rolled it back took place in the 1980s. And I think there was people who were very aware in the black community of what was going on. And I think there was a lot of sublimated frustration. And I think one of the ways it got sublimated was into basketball. And I think Larry, through no fault of his own, was the receptacle within which the lingering resentments somehow floated.
And after Bird led the Celtics to the championship in 1986, his third in the pros, winning his third straight MVP award in the process, the resentment grew.
I always felt that the press was biased in favor of Larry Bird. It always felt to me like they were gonna make Larry the hero.
Every time.
You'd see some
Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, if I heard this wrong. Bird won in 84, and then Magic won in 85, right? You know, when Magic lost, obviously they were saying, you know, the media killed him, you know, in the newspapers, right? But did they do the same thing to Bird? I mean, that's a very interesting point by Arsenio. You know what I'm saying?
score, and Larry would be in a cast in a suit on the bench, and they'd say, Larry Bird made that possible a couple weeks ago when he told that guy he could do it, and he just did it. They gonna get his motherfucker the assist, and he not in the game?
Not to be racist, but we have a white guy who's the best in the world. It's predominantly a black sport now, and you got a guy like Larry Bird who can't run, who can't jump, but can do everything out there.
That don't mean nothing to me. It don't mean anything to me. It never has.
I definitely agree that some white people, not all, you know, it's someone that you identify with, okay? And because you identify with him and he makes a strong case as being, you know, one of the best, especially at that time, of course he's gonna be exalted and everybody's gonna stand behind him. That's white. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that only white people support him. No, because if you've heard me talk about my mom, she's a Celtics fan since the 80s. You know, I heard about all these stories because of my mom and my dad, okay? But that's what I mean. Get in the comment section and get mad at me. It's all love.
I don't know why. I mean, am I doing something wrong here?
Nope.
Bird may have sought to avoid the conversation entirely, but the more he won, the less he could escape it.
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. What a play by Bird.
Feels so bad
In
for Isiah,
1987,
man.
After Boston beat the Detroit Pistons to advance to the finals for the fourth straight year, Pistons rookie Dennis Rodman called Bird overrated because he was white. His teammate Isiah Thomas then chimed in with some thoughts of his own.
If he was black, he'd be
just another good guy.
I can remember in the locker room, I think it was Jack McMullen came up to me and said, Isiah just said, boom, 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 boom. And I go, so?
He didn't care. He didn't care. Everybody else around him cared very deeply in the days and weeks, as it turned out, ahead.
I mean, the media made it out like it was something, but it didn't matter to me.
What Rodman said, I don't agree with that shit at all, but even more props to Larry Bird. And I'm sure growing up, you know, I read somewhere that Larry Bird, I mean, he got really nice at basketball because he was playing against a lot of the black players. They helped him sharpen his skills up. And I'm sure all that white boy shit, he heard that growing up when he was playing. So, of course, he would react like this. This is why we rock with him, man.
Isiah or Dennis Rodman said, and it still don't. It has no bearing on what I do in my life.
Facts.
He doesn't see race. He really doesn't. And he could have. This guy grew up poor, white, in southern Indiana. Southern Indiana,
talk about it,
by the way, of the modern Ku Klux Klan. How he managed not to be affected by the cultural milieu that he grew up in is, I think, a miracle. To me, it's inexplicable.
When I was in about 6th or 7th grade, I couldn't wait till school to be over because I knew over on the courts, the waiters from the hotel would be over there. They were black, older, and they let me play. You know, I always looked at that as I got an opportunity to play against a black man, and they treated me good. I couldn't wait to play against the best, and at that time, they were the best.
Okay.
And in 1987, as Bird vied with Magic to be the best, the flap over Isiah Thomas's racially fueled remarks forced Bird to address his least favorite topic at the worst possible time.
I had to go to a press conference when I was in LA trying to get ready to play the Lakers and tell people I didn't care, this don't bother me.
The main thing is if the statements or whatever was said doesn't bother me, I don't think it should bother any of us.
From playing all year trying to get back to the finals and play against Magic, this was a distraction.
Bird was facing off against Magic for the 3rd time in 4 years, and if their relationship had softened, the determination to beat each other had not. As Game 4 proved, the level of competition between them was higher than ever.
Bird played awesome down the stretch of that game.
Trailing 2-1 in the series, the Celtics were down by 1 point in the final minute of the game. But Larry Bird wouldn't be easily vanquished.
Open his aim. Bird goes for 3.
Them games look so fun to watch. I low-key wish I was alive.
With 7 seconds left, though, the Lakers still had life. 3 years earlier in the '84 finals, Magic had flubbed a similar situation. But this was a different Magic, one with a whole new bag of tricks.
My man switched to Kareem, and Kevin McHale jumped out to me. As soon as I saw Kevin, I said, oh, I'm taking him.
You know, Magic puts it on the floor, a couple head and shoulder fakes, and he raised up in the air. And there was nobody that was going to get that shot.
I mean, with Kareem on your team, I mean, you gotta learn the sky hook, right?
I remember after they called timeout thinking, there's still a shot here. Celtics may still win this game.
Well, they set up a great play. Bird walked Worthy all the way up, forced the denial all the way up.
We've done it before. Clear everybody out, go to the ball and break to the corner.
He caught it here, and as he caught it, all he had to do was turn. And just turn, and he just let this thing go.
Bird fires it.
You get it?
Got a wide open look, couldn't believe it.
And I'm standing right there. It is straight as an arrow.
Dead on.
Ah, I thought that shit was going in.
They were lucky because it was right on line.
Yeah.
He looked at me.
Damn.
Like, how did you ever leave me that wide open?
You gotta be kidding me. Changed the whole series.
The Lakers won the series in 6, and in the aftermath of a year in which Magic had won his first MVP, the rivalry suddenly took on a new tone.
Magic's just a great basketball player. He's the best I've ever seen, you know. Unbelievable. I don't know what to say.
I was shocked that he said it, because I thought to myself, maybe this is the beginning of a new era that's not going to include him. It was the passing of the torch a little bit.
What?
After vanquishing Bird in '87, Magic wasn't done winning. The following year, he squared off in the finals against his good friend Isiah Thomas and the Pistons.
I've heard Magic call Bird the best ever. And a lot of Larry Bird fans, and I include myself as a Larry Bird fan, a lot of people who are super pro Larry would be like, oh, see, Magic even said, but then Bird just said that about Magic. So what are we doing? They both giving each other credit, man. It's the fans, it's us. We're the ones that be on that bullshit, you know what I'm saying? Trying to like divide shit, but it makes for good sports talk when we, you know, talk about who we feel is the best, you know what I mean?
Beating them to become the NBA's first repeat champions in 2 decades.
Damn.
By the dawn of the 90s, he'd won 5 titles, played in 8 finals, and equaled Bird's MVP tally of 3. But the more Magic won, the less Irvin seemed to be around to reap the spoils.
Once I tasted the champagne and the championship, I wanted more of that and more of that. So Magic kept growing because we were successful. And the persona and all of that came with that.
The Prince of LA was now the king. And in Hollywood, being royalty had its perks.
What was Irvin Johnson's vice? Now, you know my publicist wants me to say winning. But women loved Irvin.
Back then, before voicemail, they used to have these mail
Okay.
slots in the hotels where you leave your key. And when we get into a town, Irvin's mail slot would be so packed, and it would be just Susan and a phone number, Linda and a phone number, Joyce and a phone number. I mean, that was every city, every time.
I was on top of my game as Magic, so I needed all that around me at that time. The women, the this, the that, Hollywood.
Magic was living in a context of sybaritic excess from the minute he walked in the door, and he developed a sweet tooth for it.
Sex with several women at the same time.
Yeah. Like I said, women have different fantasies. Some want to be with 2, 3 at a time. You know, one time I had 6 at one time. That's just...
I really do believe he looks upon Magic Johnson as a movie character he played. I think Irvin got overwhelmed in LA by what it meant to be a star.
Through all of this haze of women and money and fame and fortune, he still kept basketball at #1. He never seemed to lose that focus.
Larry had 2 jobs his last 7 years of playing. It was playing basketball, and then it was him being committed to taking care of his back.
He had first heard it in 1985, building the driveway at his mom's house back in French Lick.
Larry decides to do it himself. This is Larry Bird, the superstar, out there breaking his back, literally shoveling gravel.
If you get paid to go to work, you got to go to work.
It was a situation that he was seeing almost daily. He had lost the structural stability in his spine, so it would slip into abnormal positions to try and lock itself to get an artificial stability. That's like getting your finger stuck in a door.
This is crazy. This is low-key sad to hear. Like, I definitely understand what you guys are talking about when it comes to the toughness of back then, because there's a lot of players, Anthony Davis, you know what I'm saying? You know, that's the first person that comes to mind. Like, they would be out for the entire season, you know, if they were going through what Larry was going through. Like, that's wild, man.
And somebody's still pushing on the door. So what we had to do was unlock his spine, realign it, do techniques that would hold that for 4 hours, 6 hours, that type of thing, and then he'd go play basketball.
Every time I would play, I was wondering if I was going to be in a wheelchair. Was I ever going to be able to, you know, walk on the beach or hold my kids?
Wow.
His pain and his quest for basketball became all-encompassing. Very few people really knew what Larry was living with. because this was Larry's issue, and there was no sharing of his pain.
You know, I probably should have retired in 88, 89. But it's that competition. Maybe one more chance, me and Magic get together in the finals. But it never happened.
I'm sleeping, really, laying down, just waiting on the game, and the phone rings, and the voice says, "Hey, you gotta come back to LA." And I said, "Okay, why?" "Well, I can't tell you until you get to LA."
Ah, here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
I said, "Okay."
2 hours later, he was in the office of Lakers team physician Michael Melman.
Dr. Melman starts to tell me that, you know, through the physical that I took, that they discovered that I had HIV. First time ever in my life. I'm such a control freak, right? And do things the right way. I'm out of control. Oh, it was everything. How is it possible? What happened? How did it happen to me? And my mind is
We know how it happened. We know how it happened. You're knocking boots.
You're just devastated.
Further complicating things, Magic had gotten married just 2 months earlier, and he feared the worst for his new bride, Cookie, who was pregnant with their first child.
I don't know what's going to happen with my wife and my baby. I don't know what's going to happen to me. I don't have control of the situation, and I was lost just for that next 2 or 3 weeks.
And after Magic learned neither his wife nor his unborn child were infected,
thank God,
he began revealing the news to his inner circle.
The phone rang, and it was Magic's agent, Lon Rosen. And he said, "Irvin's looking for you, call him." And I said, "I'll call him when I get to Paramount." And he says, "Call him now." I said, "Lon, I'll call him when I get to Paramount. I'll be there in 20 minutes. And he said, "You got to call him now. Irvin's HIV positive." I remember I was sitting on the bed. I remember standing up at that point. And I said, "How is that possible?" I'm thinking Irvin's gonna get skinny and die. I mean, literally, that's what I thought. Irvin's gonna get skinny and die.
The first person I thought of was Larry. I wonder what Larry thinks.
The day that I heard about Magic, it just sort of changed my love for basketball. It shook me up. You know, you get that feeling, probably the same type of feeling I had when my father died.
He wants to understand why, you know, how can I talk to him? How, I need to speak to him. It was just really important for Larry to talk to him.
You know, it's sort of, I don't know. I wanted to hear it from him, probably didn't believe it.
Called me, we're talking, you know, it's just, "How you doing? I heard about it." And you can almost hear both of us with some tears in our eyes. And I'm choked up because he did call me. And, you know, when something happens, to you, and then you find out who really your friends are.
That's right.
And people who really care about you. You figure all those battles, all those things we had to go through as warriors, as competitors, and as men. And here this man says, "Hey, you know what, man, you're okay." And so that was the greatest moment for me too, you know, to have him check on me and to make sure I was okay.
First of all, let me say good late afternoon. Because of the HIV virus that I have attained, I will have to retire from the Lakers today.
It's the only press conference I've ever been in where I've seen reporters cry. I mean, we thought this guy was in total denial.
I plan on going on living for a long time, bugging you guys like I've always have.
We thought this smile was going to be wiped off his face forever, and he was going to die. We're going to watch him die in public.
That was a sad
I just remember in
smile.
the room, he was joking, and I'm sitting there looking at him crying, and he's like, "Coop, man, I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. It's gonna be all right."
I am gonna go on. I'm gonna beat it, and I'm gonna have fun.
Sure, come on. You're going to beat this? And to him, it was a contest. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, AIDS and Magic Johnson, he's same thing. It's just a different game, different rules, but I'm still going to win.
He wasn't planning on going nowhere. Irvin was planning that day to find the right medicine, to eat right, get rest, and live forever. That's what he was planning.
Thank you again, and I'll see you soon.
Obviously, you know, my channel is mainly about hip hop. Eazy-E, you know, God rest his soul. He was a rapper that, I don't remember if he had HIV or AIDS. I don't always know the difference, but he had one of them shits and he died like that. So why is it that Magic was able to live longer than Eazy-E? I always wondered that. I always wondered why that was. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's just medicine. Like, Eazy found out and he immediately was gone. You know, I wonder what's up with that. You know what I mean?
Public face, his nemesis, still out of sorts, shed the mask he had hidden behind for years.
He was visibly like, wow, how could that happen? You know, it really set him back.
Probably the two toughest days I've had since my father passed away, and I've been very depressed and sort of been out of it.
I listened to him talk in this press conference about how devastated he was. And I remember thinking to myself, you know, goddamn, Larry found Irvin.
You know, just out of the blue, something like that happening. It's just, I've never had, other than one other instance, and I was hoping I'd never see that again, because I remember how I felt weeks after that. And yesterday was just a sad day.
And at his game that night, Bird was forced to confront pain he couldn't so easily play through.
Didn't want to be there that night. First time ever. And really last. I remember we played in Atlanta. Had no feel for the game, you know. This wasn't a good time to be out there. Never had that before.
That night he threw a pass. I'll never forget, he threw a half-court pass behind his back for a layup. And if
it was that
you
game?
your eyes, just squinted your eyes, it looked like magic. And it was Larry saying goodbye.
You know, I mean, this competition thing is amazing. What it does to you. What you put your body through and what you do and what you say and how you feel. And knowing that he's not there wouldn't feel right. But I think it's all them years that, you know, what's he doing? What if he's practicing this hard? I bet he shot 500 shots today and I didn't get 500 in. It's always that mind games.
Bird played through the 91-92 season, his last in the NBA.
He's still bleeding, man.
Already gone.
I didn't check the papers anymore. You know, it didn't matter. I still want to compete, you know, but it wasn't the same. It really wasn't.
With the exception of that year when he was called Tragic Johnson, because on the basketball court, things didn't shake down properly. This is the first time I'm hearing ignorance, hatred, vicious, nasty things.
There was some of my former teammates who had their own little things that they were talking about and why this happened to me.
You know anybody else that's heterosexual that got it? Come on, man. You're in denial. I've been called gay, faggot, Irvin's lover. I've been called all that shit.
Lon Rosen got a call from Isiah Thomas asking, you know, I keep hearing Magic's gay. And Lon said, well, for crying out loud, you know better than anybody he isn't. You're one of his best friends. And he said, well, we don't know what's going on in Hollywood. And the fact that Isiah was questioning why
Come
he got
on,
this,
man.
I think it was really, really hurtful to him.
He used to say, you know, I don't want people to stop shaking my hand and giving me my hugs. He loves to be loved. And that's what bothered him the most, that people would change in relationship to him.
He would show up at the Lakers facility to work out and to shoot some baskets, and he'd try to engage his teammates and say, hey, you want to play a little one-on-one before practice? And, oh, geez, no, I can't. I got to go get taped. Or, oh, geez, I got work to do. I got to do something else.
The worst thing of all of this, that I couldn't play basketball. I don't even think dealing with HIV. It was I couldn't play.
The game, the surroundings was his whole world. That's his personality. When you take that away, you know, you're hurting.
I've always respected Isiah Thomas. You know what I'm saying? I've always thought that, you know, yes, the Bad Boy Pistons were rough and rugged and they were so disrespectful and they were so mean, man, to everybody. But, yeah, hearing him say that shit about Irvin is fucked up, man. Like, that's, I mean, you only see people's true colors during the bad times, man. And as much as the bad times suck, you know, there's always a lesson learned. That's fucked up, man. I don't like that.
Big way.
The only sex is safe sex, and that's no sex.
As basketball went on without him, Magic performed ably in his new role as HIV educator and spokesman.
I'm helping every way that I can.
But he still pined for the arena, which had made him a star. So when he was invited to play in the 1992 NBA All-Star Game, he jumped at the chance, promptly stealing the show and winning MVP honors. But that was just a warm-up for the encore Magic had up his sleeve.
He's not done yet because we're going to go to Barcelona and bring back the gold for everyone here in the United States.
Thanks, man.
For the first time ever, NBA players would be competing in the Olympics. And Magic, armed with a message, was not about to miss the show.
It would have proved to people that you were not going to get the disease playing against me. And then also for me too, personally, you know, it was therapy. It was a way to say, man, yeah, you get to do this one more time.
There was
one
also
last
one
dance.
other perk.
I think playing with Larry was very important. That's something they talked about. I mean, he was going to be on the Dream Team. He was going to be with Michael. He was going to be with Barkley. But he was going to play with Larry.
Magic kept saying to him, I just want to get you out on that court one more time. Let's just have one more sequence like we had all the way back in 1978. But it was interesting that with Magic being the one that was HIV positive, he felt great. He was in the best shape of his life. He had worked so hard to make sure he didn't go there as a token player. And here was Larry, who couldn't even practice, who could barely move.
But you know what? Didn't matter. We were still together.
Yo.
14 years after they'd first crossed paths, the smiling kid from Lansing and the shy boy from French Lick were happily back together in Barcelona. But it took just one glance outside their hotel's front door each morning for them to see that as far as they had come, they were as far apart as ever.
The only way you walk out that door if you wanted attention. But I asked this guy, how can you get around this? There's got to be a way. Lo and behold, there was a side door. You can go wherever you want. I was going to tell him about it, but seeing that smile on his face, the closer you got to that front door, come on. He didn't want no side door, you know Irvin. You go right in the middle of them.
Turn the long way, sweetheart. There you go.
I'm going out the front because that's who I am. I don't go out.
Yeah, we're not running away, man.
I don't go out the side.
That's not me. If you want to go somewhere in a hurry, there's a door that leads you there, and I found it.
I respected him for that. And so, hell, I would try to find a side door for him. And we never tried to change each other. That's what made this relationship great.
One of my pet peeves always is when people say, oh, Michael Jordan saved the NBA. Bullshit. Bullshit. Magic and Larry saved the NBA.
Jordan did his thing later.
Magic and Larry.
Magic and Larry. Bird and Magic. To the millions who once watched them, now more than ever, they are inseparable. A pair of athletes thrown together by the cosmos to compete. A pair of men who discovered a bond in the midst of that competition. Decades removed from the height of their rivalry, their bond endures.
Oh my God.
Two impossibly different men with a connection only they can fully grasp.
It's almost like a private little club, and only the two of them are in it. And every once in a while, they need to show up to have a reunion and pay their dues to each other. But they don't need the day-to-day contact that most friends need. It's just not that kind of relationship.
But I always get this good feeling when I know I'm going to see him, because he makes you feel good. You know, he really does. He's unbelievable.
He's very private, but if he's your friend, man, you got a friend for life. And Larry Bird is a straight shooter. He'll tell you when he don't like you. That's one thing I wish I could have from him, that he has that I don't have. I wish I had that.
I mean, he walked in here, this whole room would change, and maybe that's what I always wanted to be, but I just couldn't.
And just like that, man, a courtship of rivals, it's a wrap. I'm really glad that I reacted to this documentary, man. It was long as hell, but it was really, really dope, man. Bird and Magic, you know, they were great individually. You know, they were exactly what the league needed. Magic and Bird are still alive, and we gotta honor them, you know, every chance that we get, man. You know what I'm saying? But that's it for the video, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at I'm Hurrikane Isaac 95. I'm gone. Peace.